What's going on, everybody? It's good to see y'all. We're back with another video. Today I wanted to read a parable that Jesus taught. It is one of the most powerful parables in my opinion. One of the most blatant parables that Jesus said. He was calling people out and he was being very straightforward with what he was saying. So I think it's only right that we dive right into it. The parable of the wicked tenant. And what I really like about this parable is that he's calling out a historical pattern. If you're in the Passion Translation, if you're not in the Passion Translation, like I said, it's probably the parable of the wicked tenant. But either way it goes, let's hop right into this. How high do I need to hold this? My nose still good? All right, we go. It says, and Jesus was talking to Pharisees at this time. He says, "Pay close attention to this parable," Jesus said. "There once was an honorable man who planted in a vineyard, built a fence around it, dug out a pit for pressing the grapes, and erected a watchtower. Afterward, he leased the land to tenant farmers and then went a distance away. At harvest time, he sent his servants to the tenants to collect the portion that was due to him as the Lord of the vineyard. But the I'm not cutting that out of the video. But the tenants seized his servants and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. So the landowner sent other servants, even more than at first, but they were mistreated the same way." Think about where he's going with this. The owner of the vineyard leases the vineyard to people, sends his servants to collect what is his. They get rejected, beat, killed, stoned. So he sends more and the same thing happens. You keeping up? All right. Where did I go? Oh yeah. "And they were mistreated the same way. Finally, he sends his own son to them, as he said to himself, 'Perhaps with my own son standing before them, they will be ashamed of what they've done.' But when the tenants saw the son," I need to quit looking away. "But when the tenants saw the son, they said, 'This is the heir. Let's kill him. Then we can have his inheritance.'" Starting to click. "So they seized him, took him outside the vineyard, and murdered him. You tell me, when the Lord of the vineyard comes, what do you think he will do to the tenants?" And they answered, "He will bring an honorable death to those who did this evil, and he will completely destroy them. Then he'll lease the vineyard to different tenants who will be faithful to give him the portion he deserves." Jesus said to them, "Haven't you ever read the scripture that says, 'The very stone the builder rejected as flawed has now become the most important cornerstone'? This was the Lord's plan. Isn't it marvelous to behold? This is why I say to you that the kingdom realm of God will be taken from you and given to a people who will..." Wow, it's cooking. I need to get with the reading. "And will be given to a people who will bear its fruit. The one who comes against this stone will be broken, but the one whom it falls will be pulverized." When the leading priests and the Pharisees realized that the parable was referring to them, they were outraged and wanted to arrest him at once, but they were afraid of the reaction of the crowds, because the people considered him to be a prophet. Jesus, in this moment, to the Pharisees' faces, were calling out a historical pattern that they had. Not just they, but in history's time, before the Gospels, before Jesus. Time and time again, God sends his prophets down, and what are they? Rejected. Like Jesus said, you will be turned down the most in your hometown. These prophets that were servants of God were rejected time and time again. So what does God do? He humbles himself in the form of man, comes down, brings his son to us. And what did they do to his son in the parable? They said, if we kill him, we will be able to seize and take his inheritance. Isn't it funny that Jesus was giving a parable about what was going to happen to him, but yet they still couldn't see it through? I think it's crazy. Jesus was crazy. Time and time again, God sends his prophets, sends his servants down here to do the will of God and show us. And we reject, stone, kill, murder, beat these prophets. And the Pharisees say, when Jesus asked them, what do you think God will do? They say, well, he will give these men an honorable death and then give away the land, the vineyard, to tenants who will give him what he deserves. So when he sent Jesus, and he showed them time and time again the truth, and yet he was still rejected, what do you think is going to happen? God is going to give the vineyard to somebody who will give God the profits that he deserves. We cannot continue the history of rejecting what God is giving to us. So what do they end up doing later? After telling this story, they take Jesus, have him tortured, beaten, carry a cross up a big old hill, nail him to it, and kill him. Isn't it funny how in that moment Jesus was telling them what they were going to do, and they answered it correctly. They answered him correctly, yet couldn't understand what he was telling them. The world tells you, I'll believe it when I see it. Jesus tells you, believe and I'll show you. Time and time again, with history before them, leading all the way up to this moment when he's telling this story. It was I'll believe it when I see it. These are the tenants of the vineyard. Not only the Pharisees, but us. God trusted us with the vineyard. And then we take it and reject him. Not once, not twice, but when he sends his son to the front door, we mistreat him the same way, worse, 1,000,000 times worse. And we reject him in the same way. We cannot keep rejecting the Lord. At some point, We have to give God the respect that he deserves, the profit, the praise, the worship, the belief that he deserves. That's really all I got for this video. Jesus died for you. The only reason you're saved is because he died on that cross and you believe that he resurrected from the grave 3 days later. Not because of anything you can do. This is a little side tangent, but I'm just letting you know why you're saved and why you can't be unsaved. See you later.